bataraitha ino iraheanwo ikoretwo ni bataraitha ya urimi wa mbembe. Kiuria kiria kinene tukoretwo nakio ni hihi murimi wa kahũa-ri, murimi wa macani ri, murimi wa gitunguru kuma kuria mwena wa Nyeri bataraitha yake ni iriku, tondu maina wa mucio ungirora urimi uyu nduhuthikaga na bataraitha imwe, ni uhuthikaga na bataraitha ngurani
ikiro-ini citiganite. Na tukiria na direct yo gwenda mwerekeri wakwa akorwo akini displayer graphic kana ndumiriri citiganite haha uguo cigimaine na maria akinyanirie makiria muno sector-ini ya urimi. Na turi hau urimi-ini wa kahũa ni ati umuthi Simon Terugui ari kuria mucemanio-ini mwena wa Nandi, na ni akumagaritio actually ni governor wa Nandi, ni akorirwo akiuga ati agikindira uhoro wa thirikari ukorwo irekereirie muigana wa ciringi bilioni 4 gukinyaniria urimi. No kiuria ni atiriri kinyanagia na riu kuma rira moire wathanire urimi ukinyite ni mariko makinyanirio ni makihanite
cio maina wa mucwe kuma riria mutongoria wa bururi aingirire wathani-ini ni akorirwo akirira a Kenya ati kwa ihinda ria miaka 5 ni agukorwo akiga keheri-ini bilioni 250 cia gukiria urimi guku bururi-ini. Na kuma hau mutongoria wa bururi akiranira ati arimi milioni 2 aria matehotete kana aria matari no hoti wa gutwarithia na mbere urimi na njira iria yagirire ni agukorwo akimokeria niguo kuongerera ukuria wa irio guku bururi-ini.
Na turio hau ri ciringi uga bilioni cigana
250.
Na ngwenda urore chart ino mwirore witu kana nyamu ino tukiko display ire haha agikorwo ni ugire bururi witu niguo agriculture kana urimi niguo ucontributaga hanene muno almost gicunji kia 40% hari ukuria wa bururi ona hari GDP kana gross domestic product iria cikoragwo guku bururi-ini urimi niguo utumaga atire ginya gicunji kia 52 guturuma gifogo percent giki ni gicunji kiria batete naguo irauga atia nyamu ino.
Na ndukariganirwo ati mieri ta iri mihete arimi a gitunguru ni makoretwo magikaya muno kuona ati gitunguru gitiraumio ria kwagirire ni kwaga indo cia urimire, na ndeto ino ikongerera ginya thogora wa gitunguru thoko-ini ugakora gitunguru kimwe urendagirio ciringi 10 ginya ciringi 20.
Tariu ni haria njoyaga gitunguru hau haitu njari ndiroyaga makiria ma itunguru 3 na ciringi gibao. Thaici gitunguru kiu kimwe ndirakiona ciringi 10 kana ndetete muno ni kwambatira gwa thogora wa muturire ri gigathie na ciringi 7. Na maundu maria macungire gitumio kana kwambatira gwa gitunguru ginya gicunji kia 50 na gicunji kia 52 ri ni mariko. Wa mbere arimi matikoretwo makiamukira bataraitha yao tigukuria na mbembe theri no nginya turore naguo urimi wa gitunguru ungithie mathoko-ini gitunguru ni gikiaga na njira nene muno na ni maundu mariku thirikari igukorwo igikana umuthi ni kio ndumiriri-ini ya mutongoria ndumiriri-ini yake kuria cikaro-ini cia bunge ya gibũrũri ni twerigire na gukorwo akihuthiria maundu mana nigetha akorwo akirora arimi ya gitunguru na njira nene nigetha ginya bũrũri-ini gitunguru gikorwo gigicokereria.
Na ndeto ingi turio hau gitunguru-ini ndeto ingi iracungiriire thogora wa gitunguru kwambatira ni ati arimi matirarima gitunguru ni tondu bũrũri ni uragumirwo ni riũa na njira kurari na wagi wa mai ma kurima gitunguru. Na maina wa mucwe haria tukinyite ndagika ino ri kuri na mbura nene muno iraura guku bũrũri-ini. Uguo thirikari ni ibatie gukorwo yarire mitaratara miganu mikinyaniru ya gutega mai maria marihuthikaga ni arimi nginyagia mbura ino yakia
nigetha mahote kuhuthira mai maya hari na undu ungi nyonaga wa bata muno kuriukia sector-ini ya urimi wari kuo tene ungerorire uria urimi wekikaga tene ni ati na hau gabere ni kwari na thirikari ni igithaga extension officers kana arugamiriri aria maingiraga migunda kwa mathiururukaga micii yothe guthimira tiri waku akwira acidity ya tiri waku murimi ri rita riri ndubatie kurima gindu giki okaga kwira atiriri tukirora urimi wa gitunguru rita riri wahandite gitunguru ha aca ndugacokie gitunguru cokie mumera uyu nigetha wike kindu gitagwo pest and diseases control kana gukorwo ukirigiriria mirimu itiganite thiini wa tiri na tutambi ungirora thaici ri rutire na extension officers aiganu thiini wa bũrũri witũ wa Kenya. Ũngĩthii ta Mount Kenya nĩ kuo ũrĩmi ũthiaga na mbere na njĩra nene mũno. No ũngĩthii kũu nĩ ũgũkora mũrĩmi ũmwe ũrĩmĩte mbembe mũgũnda-inĩ ũmwe gwa kahinda ka makĩria ma mĩaka 20. Nĩkĩ? Tondũ ndarĩ na extension officers wa gũka athime tĩri ũyũ acoke amwĩre atĩrĩrĩ tĩri ũyũ wake rĩu rĩ ndũkumia mbembe ciaga kuma rĩ akuga citinauma nĩ ũndũ nĩ mwaka mũru. No ũngĩrora rĩ nĩ tĩri wake harĩ kĩrĩa wĩkĩkĩte. Tũgĩtigana ciĩgiĩ gĩtũngũrũ njĩtĩkĩra tũingĩre thĩinĩ wa kĩndũ gĩgwĩtwo nyanya.
Ũrĩmi wa nyanya.
Exactly. Na ũgĩthii kũrĩa kaunti-inĩ ya Machakos ndacerete mũgũnda-inĩ ũmwe ngĩkora ũrĩmi wa nyanya ĩtagwo cherry tomato na ĩrĩa ĩgĩkũraga kũu na njĩra ĩmwe na ngĩona ũrĩmi ũngiumia. Wambĩrĩte nginya gĩcunjĩ kĩa 22 gũturuma 9. Niki gĩgũtũmana nĩ ithuĩ arĩmi a nyanya na njĩra nene gũkũ bũrũri-inĩ thogora kana inflation ya nyanya yambatire nginya gĩcunjĩ kĩa 22 gũturuma 9. Niki thirikari ĩtarĩ reka ona thengia ya kũigithia bilioni icio wa gweta haha thĩinĩ wa sector ya ũrĩmi. Nĩ maũndũ marĩkũ macũngĩrĩirie hihi tũkorwo tukiona inflation ya nyanya kwambatire nginya gĩcunjĩ kĩa 22 gũturuma 9? Nĩ ta marĩkũ?
Maina wa mũico ũngĩrora nyanya, ũrĩmi wa nyanya ndana nutrition ya igũrũ mũno. Maina wa mũico mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ no ũhande nyanya na ikũre wega, no mũthenya wa rũciũ ũgĩũkĩra ũgakora nĩ mũmera ũtangĩtwara thoko kana nĩ matunda ũtangĩtwara thoko. Na haha tũkĩmũrĩka mũmera wa nyanya, nyanya wa mbere nĩ ĩbataraga maĩ maingĩ. Wa kerĩ nyanya nĩ ĩbataraga fertilizer ya kũigana. Wa gatatũ nyanya nĩ ĩbataraga gũtumberio na njĩra ya kũhũthĩra ndawa cia kũrigĩrĩria tũtambi, cia kũrigĩrĩria indo ta heho na mĩrimũ ĩngĩ mĩingĩ. Ũngĩrora ũrĩmi wa nyanya nginya nyanya ĩgĩtuo no yendaga gũtumberio na njĩra ĩrĩa yagĩrĩire. Ũndũ wa kerĩ Maina wa mũico, nyanya ĩno ĩgĩũka thoko, nyanya ndĩgweterera atĩ nĩ ngweterera thoko yambatĩre. Nyanya yakũrwo ũmũthĩ no nginya yendio, no nginya ĩkinye thoko ũmũthĩ.
Gũtakũmakania
nĩkĩ gĩkuo na ĩngĩkĩria hau nĩ yathũka. Handũ nyanya ĩkoragwo ĩthondekeirwo thoko gũgatuĩka atĩ nyanya ĩrĩa ĩgĩkũra ya ng'ania rĩ ĩgatwarwo handũ hana. Na kaingĩ nĩkĩo ũkoraga ithuĩ twĩ ta arĩmi nĩ uma na nyanya kũrĩa Laikipia warehe Nairobi harĩa Mũthurwa ũkaigua Mũthurwa thoko nĩ yathũka, ũgathiĩ na nyanya yaku Kisii ũkaigua Kisii ndĩna ingĩrana ũrĩa gũbatiĩ, ũgathonga Mombatha. Maina wa mũico ũgĩkinya Mombatha gũtumũra nyanya ĩyo mũrĩmi no hathara akoragwo agĩtara.
Na thengia wa thirikari kũigithia mbeca ici ciothe ĩigithĩtie thĩinĩ wa sector ya ũrĩmi rĩ, ũrĩmi no ũra drag. Ta ngũcokie thutha mwaka-inĩ wa 1993 hĩndĩ ĩyo nĩ mũndũ wetagwo Moi wakĩrĩ wathani-inĩ. Thogora wa mũtũrĩre wambatĩire nginya na gĩcunjĩ gĩa 45.39%. Ĩyo nĩyo inflation yambatĩrĩire. Thogora wa mũtũrĩre warĩ mũnene mũno. Gũtũma thaa ici na nĩrĩo twĩna manpower kana nĩrĩo twĩna ũhoti na ũgĩ mũingĩ wa technology no tuĩke ũrĩmi ũkumia kũhũthĩra technology ĩrĩa tũkĩrĩ nayo kwa ihinda rĩrĩ. Nĩkĩ gũtũma nyanya ĩkithie nginya gĩcunjĩ kĩa 22 gũturuma 9? Icio nĩcio ciũria iria Akenya aingĩ marakorwo makĩũria. Na ngũmenyithia atĩ ndũmĩrĩri-inĩ ya mũtongoria wa bũrũri kũrĩa ciikaro-inĩ cia mbunge ya gĩbũrũri nĩ Akenya nĩ marakorwo makĩenda ndeto ĩno ĩkorwo ĩkĩgucĩrĩrio, tondũ tutingĩenda ningĩ moke merirwo maũndũ mangĩ na twĩna maũndũ makĩria 95 manifesto-inĩ ya thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza matarĩ marakinyanĩra. Tũthiĩ thĩinĩ wa kĩndũ gĩgwĩtwo cooking oil. Maya nĩ maguta ma kũrĩa. Maguta ma kũrĩa ndĩrathire ndakora karita karĩa ka lita 2 marendagia ciringi, ũngĩthiũrũka supermarket-inĩ nyingĩ nĩ ũkora marendia ciringi 500 ma 34. Mayo nĩ kũraringana na brand ĩrĩkũ.
Thirikari ya hasla nĩ thirikari ya mũkenya wa thĩ, na hĩndĩ ĩyo tũgĩcagũra thirikari ĩyo maguta marĩ thogora wayo marĩ thĩ. No harĩa tũkinyĩte ndagĩka ĩno maguta ma kuruga to nginya makorwo irio-inĩ Maina wa Mũcũwe
ni ukuhuthira matumbĩ mwana
ciringi 50 cia maguta ma kuria ndũngĩruga namo makiria ma maita merĩ
na tene no akora maguta maria ma guthima
niguo
ni mathia mari maingi muno riu niki gutuma tukorwo tukinyite haha ha gicunjĩ gĩa 11 guturuma imwe
kiria thirikari ikite nginyagia hari magoti ma maguta maya ma kuruga ni mambatirite na njira nene muno
yes
ririkana Mũkenya hari ari tha ici
ni haceke
na twari uhoro wa ma Mũkenya ndari handu hega maundu maria etereire kuigwa kuma kuri mutongoria wa bururi
na mbere ndagika-inĩ ino ndiramenyithia ati ni mwirekeri wakwa mutongoria wa bururi Ndagĩtarĩ William Ruto akihikahikite
niguo
arorete kura cikaro-inĩ cia bunge ya gĩbũrũri agakirekereria ndũmĩrĩri yake ya mbere ta mutongoria wa bururi kuma rĩrĩa ahiũkirie wathani-inĩ mwaka ũmwe na mĩeri 2 mĩhĩtũku na rĩu tũingĩre thĩinĩ wa maize flour kana mbembe ĩrĩa thirikari ĩkĩigithĩtie makĩria ma mbeca nyingĩ mũno kũheana bataraitha ya raithi actually nginya kũrĩa gwitũ gĩcagi-inĩ kĩa Majandũ kũrĩa tũkĩamũkĩra bataraitha ĩno although arĩmi nĩ maugaga atĩ bataraitha ĩno ndĩkinyanĩirie ikĩro no ũngĩrora magetha nĩ magĩrĩte ĩno yũkĩte nginya inflation kana thogora wayo wambatĩte nginya gĩcunjĩ kĩa 2.9 ĩno nĩ kũgwa ĩgwĩte for this one at least thirikari haha nĩ ĩrorete andũ nĩ ĩrutanĩirie ya mũtu nĩ ũrambatĩte na njĩra nene mũno kahinda karaya
nĩ ũrakinyĩte 230 nginya 250
thaa ici nĩ ndona ndũcokete nginya 100
kinyite haha Maina wa Mũcũwe no twende gucoka haria twari haria twagura mutu wa kilo 2 ciringi 100
kana ciringi 90 hindi ya guikia kura
na akiuria kinene ngeyuria atiriri angikorwo hindi ya githurano mutu no ume ciringi 100 ri kai mathurwo niki kiagaruruka twaia gukorwo hihi ni mbembe twaikagirio
nĩ gĩterenge gugucĩrĩrio
gĩterenge gukorwo hihi nĩ gutegwo twategagwo tondu angikorwo hindi ĩyo no umaga 100 ri na hindi ĩyo kimera kia mwaka muthiru gĩtiarĩ kĩega ri ndagĩka ĩno Ngai aratuheire mbura mũrĩmi aracemania na bataraitha
ya raithi na acoka aramũkĩra kĩgĩna gĩa kũmwethiria harĩa thoko agũkĩmĩruta
niki kiratuma mutu ukorwo ukinyete hau
nĩ tũkorwo tũgĩthiĩ ndereti-inĩ ĩyo ĩngĩ nĩyo ĩracoka haha next no rĩu twambe tũrĩkĩrĩrie na maize grains ici nĩ mbembe ciambe tukirigithania na mwaka muhituku ungiririkana before mbura ĩno yambĩrĩirie kahinda kararĩ ho nĩ tũragũmĩirwo nĩ drought nene mũno kana wagi wa mbura na nĩ gũkora atĩ mahiũ ma andũ aingĩ nginya ũngĩthiĩ kũrĩa kaunti-inĩ ya Samburu mĩena-inĩ ĩmwe kana kũrĩa Narok kũrĩa ndũrĩrĩ cia Maathai kana the more culture makorwo magĩikara maratanĩte makaingĩrĩra ũrĩmi rĩu thaa ici nĩ at least nĩ ĩgwĩte nginya gĩcunjĩ kĩa 1.9 na tũrakorwo tukĩrĩgĩrĩra atĩ mutongoria wa bururi Ndagĩtarĩ William Ruto ndũmĩrĩri-inĩ yake no ĩkorwo agĩka nĩ egũkorwo akĩrĩra Akenya mwĩhoko nĩamu Akenya nĩ manogete kwenda tũrĩ o hau rĩu tũingĩre thogora-inĩ wa maguta ũrĩa ũcũngĩrĩirie nyamũ ĩno yothe yambatĩre igũrũ tondũ ũngĩtuiria maguta fuel ithuĩ tũrĩ net importers sorry atĩ ithuĩ tũgĩraga maguta maitũ na nja no maguta maya tũgĩraga rĩ nĩmo tũhũthagĩra kũ run our economy na tũkũ run our economy atĩa maya ĩno nĩyo inflation heights ya October uturuma imwe na tũrĩ o hau rĩ ambe twĩre haha tũgũkorwo tũrorete ha
niĩ ngũcokera o mĩario ya thirikari bũrũri ndũrĩ hega
nĩma
na ũngĩririkana hau kabere ũrĩa warĩ minister wa maũndũ ma trade ũgwĩtwo Moses Kuria nĩ augire atĩ Kenya kũikinyagia mweri wa kerĩ mwaka ũkĩte tugakorwo tukigura lita 266 nginya 300 na thitima nĩ gakorwo yambatĩrĩte na njĩra nene mũno Moses Kuria thutha wa kwaria mĩeri ĩyo nĩ abingabingirwo mũno nĩ atongoria na gũkĩrwo ndararia ũrĩa kwagĩrĩire no ũngĩrora ũciarithia wa thitima Kenya nĩ tũciarithagia thitima
thitima tũrĩ nayo
gũkũ bũrũri-inĩ wa Kenya kũrĩa Turkana
kwĩ thitima
kũrĩa West hinya wa thitima Kenya nĩ njiguaga nĩ ĩtambĩtie thitima bũrũri-inĩ wa Uganda. Hinya wa thitima tũraga ithuĩ rĩ ene rĩ ũraga gũtũteithia nĩkĩ?
Na tũrĩ o hau thirikari ndĩragĩthiĩ na mbere na gũkũhe updates kana gũkũmenyithia ũrĩa ndũmĩrĩri ya mũtongoria wa bũrũri kũrĩa cikaro-inĩ cia mbunge ya gĩbũrũri gũgĩkorwo nginya thaa ici ndĩrakĩmenyithia atĩ maabitha a borithi kana gwaride nĩ makĩrĩkĩtie gwĩbanga na nĩgetha akorwo akĩthũrima eta mũtongoria wa bũrũri ririkana nĩwe ũkĩrũgamĩrĩire mbirarũ ciothe cia maĩ-inĩ. Na tũrĩ haha ngũmenyithia atĩ harĩ mũthenya ndĩrageretie kũgũra tokens na ciringi 30 na nĩ ĩraregire na tene ũcio nĩ ndagũra nginya tokens cia gĩbaũ. Nĩkĩ gĩgũtũma thaa ici na nĩ tũrahe Uganda thitima ndũngĩgũra token ya ciringi 30? Token no ũgũrire kuma ciringi 40 kwambata igũrũ.
Ũngĩrora hau Kirini atwarĩte ndereti mbunge-inĩ akauga brokers aya me gatagatĩ ga thogora-inĩ ya thitima meherio. Mũkenya endagĩrio thitima ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe kuma the source,
kuma kũrĩ Kenya Power.
Yes. Nĩgetha thogora wa thitima ũnyihe. Na ndereti no ĩrathiĩ na mbere ĩrĩ kũrĩa mbunge na tũra expect ica ikuhĩ nĩ gũkorwo ĩgĩcirĩrĩrio na ĩhetũkio nĩgetha ĩhote kũguna mũkenya wa bũrũri. Tondũ ũngĩrora hinya wa thitima Maina wa Mũcũwe kũrĩa ithuĩ tũraikara thitima tũragũra goro na ũgakora hinya ũcio wa thitima nĩ ũrathimirwo.
Nĩma
tondũ biru ũngĩhũthĩra thitima ũrĩa kwagĩrĩire wahota kũneo biru ya goro gũkĩra nyũmba ĩrĩa yambe ĩkũmakie na hau nĩho tũkinyĩte. Ũguo nĩ tũra hope mbunge ya bũrũri nĩ kũhetũkia biru ĩyo nĩgetha
tũgamire gĩcunjĩ kĩa 44.1. Rĩrĩa tũingĩre thĩinĩ wa kerosene maya nĩ maguta ma tawa. Ũngĩthiĩ thĩinĩ wa icagi nyingĩ irĩ gũkũ mũciĩ-inĩ mũnene wa Nairobi mahũthagĩra kĩndũ gĩgĩtwo kerosene kũruga kana maguta ma tawa. Andũ arĩa marĩ economy ya thĩ kana arĩa mareyũkĩrĩria tũhũthagĩra kerosene. Thaa ici nona yambatĩte nginya gũturuma gĩcunjĩ kĩa 39 mwĩroreri gũturuma 2. Maguta maya mambatĩrĩte hau rĩ nĩ Akenya aigana marakorwo matigĩtwo nja ona thengia wa thirikari thĩinĩ wa manifesto yao kũgweta atĩ maya nĩmo maũndũ marĩa marahutia Akenya at a bottom line thĩinĩ wa manifesto yao ĩrĩa yakĩrĩ ya bottom up. Nĩkĩ haha twagĩtiga bottom twarora na igũrũ? What's going on?
Ũguo watarĩria andũ aingĩ tũrugaga na stove.
Yes.
Na stove ĩhũthĩraga maguta ma tawa. Nĩ mbara gatagatĩ ga bũrũri wa Ukraine na Russia na Kenya makĩiganĩra.
Nĩ maiganĩrire.
Rĩu harĩa tũrorete tũrerwo thogora wa maguta ũrambatĩra nĩ ũndũ wa mbara gatagatĩ ga bũrũri wa Israel
na Hamas kũrĩa bũrũri-inĩ wa kũrĩa gatũra-inĩ kanini mũno ka Gaza.
Rĩu kĩũria gitũ nĩ atĩrĩrĩ, bũrũri wa Kenya tondũ kũrĩ hĩndĩ twerĩtwo nĩ maguta mahota kwenjwo kũrĩa mwena wa Turukana.
Yes.
Kaĩ gwathire atĩa?
Ririkana haha mũtongoria wa bũrũri Ndagĩtarĩ William Ruto nĩ akorirwo agĩtarĩria atĩ wenji wa maguta nĩ ũkorwo kĩrũgama nĩ ũndũ wa kĩndũ kĩrĩa gĩokire kĩa ũgarũrũku wa rĩera. Ririkana mweri-inĩ wa mweri wa kaigana kĩgomano kĩa rĩera gĩekĩkire gũkũ bũrũri-inĩ kana African Climate Summit gĩekĩkire gũkũ bũrũri-inĩ na Africans magĩkorwo magĩtaranĩria magĩkorwo makĩiguanĩra witũ wĩna 75% grid ya kĩndũ gĩtagwo renewable energy kana hinya wa marĩa matũrigicĩirie. Tũgĩthiaga na mbere ngũmenyithia atĩ mũtongoria wa bũrũri nĩ akinya kũrĩa cikaro-inĩ cia Bomas of Kenya kũrĩa cikaro-inĩ cia
mbunge ya
gĩbũrũri na ririkana atĩ nĩ tũgũkorwo tũgĩkũmemerekereria ndũmĩrĩri ĩno yake ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe thĩinĩ wa gũkũ kwa mũthingi TV na tugithie na mbere ni ati riu turore kindu gigwitwo electricity kana eno 50 kilowatts no eno ni 200 kilowatts ni huthikaga muno ni andu a iganda tondu maragibatara hinya mukiru nona yao iri gicunje kia 33 na ithatu kia 33 guturuma ithatu tuthie thogora wa dithuru wa bete na gicunje kia 50 guturuma 8 na ngwira tha ici dithuru irakorwo kindu na shiringi cigana dithuru ni abatete
ma 11
na twendagia ino nyamu shiringi 100 ria miro twagurire nyamu no 162 thaici yabatete ginya shiringi 200
ungirora hau previously kuma mwaka wa 2013 tugicagura thirikari iria yariho ya TNA riria mutongoria wa bururi William Ruto wari ari munini wa mutongoria wa bururi thogora wa maguta waumire kuma shiringi 85 na kuma hiyo maina wa mucwe maguta makoretwo makiambatira o hindi gutire hindi iria yakinya tukaigua thogora wa maguta ni waikuruka na ni urakigua o uria miario ya atongoria ya thirikari ni uraigura minister wa hinya na thitima ugwirwo Chelugui akiuga ati thogora wa maguta ni ugukinya shiringi 300.
Na ngumenyithia ati kuria cikaro-ini cia bunge ya gibũrũri munini wa president Rigathi wa Gachagua kuma kuria gicigo-ini kia Mount imwe kwa imwe kuma kuria cikaro-ini cia bunge ya gibũrũri kana the national parliament. So the deputy president ni arikia gukinya akinyaga nigetha gacoka akamwita mutongoria wa bururi nigetha oke tuone kana ni agukihe Akenya hope. Turi hau tuthie thogora wa petrol wabatire nginya gicunje kia 21 na ringi kuria cikaro-ini cia Bomas of Kenya riri dereti ya miario ya wiguano na githiaga na mbere kuria Bomas of Kenya ngumenyithia ati Davis Chilchil ni akurirwo agikinya kuria na akiuga ati thogora wa maguta ma petrol wahota kwambatira nginya shiringi 300 thaici turagura petrol na shiringi 217 jeshi ya nduthiri turarora the bottom up economic transformation ya manifesto ya thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza mundu wa boda boda ri mama mboga ri muto abatirite na gicunje kia 21 guturuma 7
taringi ni twiriga guikinya kuria mwena wa Kitengela na tugikora atwarithia boda boda mari na ihoru inene muno makiria maigua miario iria iraumana na thogora wa maguta na ni twikarire thi nao na tukiaraniria na matutaragiria ati hari lita imwe shiringi 217 marahota guthondeka tu o shiringi 60 muthenya. Mundu uyu athondeka shiringi 60 athie gwake gukario kununge gitunguru ta kwari angi athie atware mwana wake thukuru na hinge mabataro mothe ma mucii ukona andu acio na ihinda iritu na niho matutaragiria magatwira ati ihinda riu riukite maguta makinyia hau magana macio matatu maina wa mucwe ni kuhinga makuhinga biashara ciao ni kuinuka makuinuka no gacoka ngeyuria kiu
Boria Mombasa County
akiruguria kifi kana nduthi
cia
uthiri wa thitima
na niyo eno thitima 50 kilowatts mwirori wa muthingi TV ya batirite nginya gicunje kia 44 guturuma 1 nayo electricity kana uyu no hinya wa thitima no wina hinya muingi wa kilowatts ino ni kilowatts ni nyamu iria gihuthikaga guthima hinya wa thitima magana meri ya batirite gicunje kia 30 guturuma 3 nitwakiruguria kiria nitwakehera petrol-ini ire hari mundu mandigithagia muno na ngare mukumanyita tondu tutingehera thiini wa petrol mwirori wa muthingi TV tukiambatira na gicunje kia 21 guturuma 7 tuka tukahuthira hinya wa thitima uria wambatire na gicunje kia 44 guturuma 1 something must be wrong somewhere ni how turidia
no ni gacoka ngeyuria atiri hihi maya gukorwo marenda kunina uhuthiri wa maguta cia mundu uria metaga mtu ya boda boda biashara ya mama boga tondu mama boga ainge madependaga na boda boda ici otogwo wataririe gusafirisha indo ciao tukarigwo atiriri mundu uyu wa thiri kai mururire weke erekeire
na nikio turakorwo a Kenya thiini wa nituguma na session kiroko kurogota mawoni ma Kenya megimaini na ndumiriri ya mutongoria wa bururi President William Ruto na aingĩ nĩmakorirwo makiuga atĩ nĩmakuite ngoro na wathani uyu no inde magakorwo makiuga atĩ nĩmarerĩgĩrĩra thiini wa ndumiriri yake muthenya wa umuthi President Ruto mania gukorwo akiaria ciugo iria cigũkorwo ikimariũkĩria mwĩhoko ti kũmerera rĩngĩ rĩu nĩ kũmũkinyanĩria maũndũ mamwe marĩa maramagerera tarĩu thogoro wa maguta nĩguo abatie gukorwo akiorora ririkana hĩndĩ ya mwaka wa 2002 nĩanyihirie kindu ndenda tuthi tukorore kindu gitagwo taxation kana uruti wa magoti nĩanyihirie VAT kana value added tax agicoka akinyihia kindu gitagwo pay as you earn nigetha mukenya uyu ri ahote gukorwo agikup na muturire uria woka tondu aingi nimatire mawira no tha ici ri tutire na pandemic niki kiratuma mukenya wa kawaida akae gitumina giki
niko haha hari indo ici ciothe kwambatira gwa thogora wacio hiria aria Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta hena kindu twetaga subsidy
makiria thogora-ini wa petrol
na thogora-ini wa mitu no thirikari ino irokire ni ireheririe subsidy ya indo ta ici maguta na mutu makiuga ati kuu nikuo mbeca cia thirikari ciranywira mai no thutha wa kweheria subsidy yo
2022-2023 thiini wa Finance Act mundu gwitwo Segere nyongerera ya magoti ni yathire na iguru muno undu uria watitirio ni mwaho wa Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition na makiuga niki gigutuma President Ruto ongerere magoti o riri mu Kenya nathi na mbere na kuhatikwo thiini wa kindu gitagwo transactions mobile transactions na iria mama boga huthagira ni guthio kore mama boga already ena till number yake thutha ici ona by the haria ngeragira ndakurio ni macieheretie marenda cash
tondu gutuma thimu-ini ni hathara guciruta ni hathara fegi ne ongereire ginya transaction cost
exactly na ici twaria nawe guo undu wa kumakania ni ati ahoria biashara President Ruto tukwihoka nama ati ne okorwo akimarumbuya thiini wa ndumiriri yake muthenya wa umuthi gitumi ni giki ungirora kindu gitagwo wendia wa ciringi muri wa biashara uyu wikaga kindu gitagwo import and exports uria urutaga indo bururi wa nanja akarehe guku bururi-ini tondu gukuti na raw materials cia kuigana ri athie kuri fegi ino ri iramondi na ciringi 100 ria 56
niguo
niki gikikite hari ciringi itu igatuma lose value na tukirora na uhoro wigie dollar kana sterling pounds iria cirorete ginya ciringi 100 ria 62 ukirona ciringi Uganda thiini wa mwaka wa 2018 tocenjanagia ciringi ya Tanzania na ya Kenya yari ciringi 22 na tutendi fulani hau iguru tha ici mwiroreri tucukite tuguka ginya gicunji kia 16 hari igana hiyo ni exchange rate ciringi imwe ya Kenya yathia hari ciringi 22 Tanzania 1 to 16 ikiratuma tu lose you to ya Uganda to ya Tanzania eke turongori Uganda our neighbors na ndiraiguire mundu gwitwo Museveni ni araugire ati ni akurenga Kenya kumenderia maguta tondu kwao maramenderia maguta goro nona tondu maramenderia goro bado matie marakinyira goro wa uria maratwenderia ithwe guku o aya a Kenya bururi wa Tanzania muthenya wa ira ni maracabithirie kindu kironanirie ati ni maguithia thogora wa maguta nake President William Ruto arakorwo akiuga ati it's out of hand kuriwe haro ya Hamasa na Israel kule itura-ini ria Gaza wenda ngimihota ni kumaanisha atia ni mwihoko arahe ya Kenya kana ni haturorete as an economical liberation country
Reke ngwire Maina wa mucwe ndire muthathauri wa maundu ma wonjoria kana thogora no ni
kuria cikaro-ini cia mbunge ya gĩbũrũri nĩ hĩndĩ aragĩthũrima kana nĩ hĩndĩ araki inspect parade ya maabitha a borithi na ĩragĩũkĩra ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe gũkũ kwa Mũthingi TV. Ndũgetikĩre gũthiĩ na mũtambo nĩ amu nĩ tũrakũrehera maũndũ maya ma ũthathaũri mangĩ maingĩ makĩria kũringana na mawoni ma Kenya arĩa mathiĩte na mbere na hatirika. Ndumiriri ĩno yake umuthi ikihoketwo atĩ nĩ gũkorwo ikihe Mũkenya makĩria wa kawaida mwĩhoko wa mũtũrĩre ũrĩa wambatĩte na njĩra nene. Tũthiĩ na mbere mũndũ ũgwĩtwo Chege wa Njohi.
Nĩ gũkwĩraga atĩ ndĩciragia ta mũndũ na nĩ ndoraga maũndũ na njĩra nyingĩ.
Yes.
Na o toguo watarĩria nĩ atĩ ciringi ya Kenya ĩrathiĩ na mbere na kũgũithia value yayo gũkĩringithanio na bũrũri wa Tanzania na bũrũri wa Uganda. Na mabũrũri macio merĩ nĩ tũrutithanagia namo biacara mũno mũno kaingĩ. Manager gũka kũigithia biacara yake gũkũ bũrũri-inĩ.
Yes.
Nĩ ũrakora aigithia aingĩ nĩ marorera mabũrũri ma Tanzania, nĩ marorera mabũrũri ma Uganda tondũ kũu nĩkuo rĩu wonjoria ũhorereire.
Nĩ cia bombers na nĩ iragũkĩra ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe makĩ thaici ndagĩka-inĩ ĩno manyitanĩte kana marathi ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe marorete cikaro-inĩ cia bombers mena mũndũ ũgwĩtwo speaker wa mbunge ya gĩbũrũri. Yes. na ngumenyithia ati nirageithia kigeithagia andu othe kuria bunge ni gukiri na majority leader
niguo
mundu gwitwo Kimani wa Icung'wa na atongoria othe niakorwo akimageithia nigetha akorwo akituika welcomed thiini wa bunge ya gibũrũri na nigetha akorwo agiturekereria ndumiriri yake igimaini na mwaka na haria bũrũri ũrũgamĩirie ihinda-inĩ rĩ na ngumenyithia ati ni arũmĩrĩirwo ni munini wa president kuma gĩtaro kĩrĩa Mount Kenya mũndũ ũgwĩtwo Rigathĩ wa Gachagua na tũgĩthiĩ na mbere rĩu tũkũroraga maũndũ megimainie na bilioni 70 cia kũrĩkia cia waki wa bara makĩria kũrĩa kaunti-inĩ ya Kwale arĩa maugaga matirĩ mona bara ya rami nĩguo Mount Kenya ũngĩrora rĩrĩa president Uhuru Kuri mundu ũgwĩtwo Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta nĩ kũrĩ barabara nyingĩ mũno ambĩtie citakinyanĩire na to hau tũngĩrora kũrĩa mwena wa Nyanza region kũrĩa Nyanza iria-inĩ kũrĩa nĩ gũkora atĩ iganda cia cukari nĩ irakorirwo ikĩehererio thirĩ wao
kũrĩa nĩ western
ithũĩro rĩa bũrũri na ũgĩũka Mount Kenya rĩ mbara ya kũrũa na cartels a kahũa rĩ nigetha tũriũkie mũrĩmi rĩ ikinyĩte ha
nĩ tũrĩa kũigua mũnini wa mũtongoria wa bũrũri ũgwĩtwo Rigathĩ wa Gachagua na nĩ ũndũ wa kũmakania kũigua atĩ Gachagua augire tũrĩa nĩme thogora-inĩ ya kahũa nĩ tũmũremete thoko ya kahũa nja wa bũrũri nĩ tũramuonire arĩ kũrĩa bũrũri-inĩ wa Colombia nĩ athiĩte mabũrũri mangĩ maingĩ agĩethaga thogora wa kahũa na magĩcokaga nĩ marauga thogora wa kahũa nĩ ũkwagĩrĩra ũcio no mwĩhoko ũraheo mũrĩmi wa kahũa
na tũgũkĩhoka ũndũ ũyũ President William Ruto ndũmĩrĩri-inĩ yake ĩrĩa ĩragĩthiĩ na mbere kũrĩa mwena-inĩ wa cikaro cia bunge ya gĩbũrũri kana nĩyo the National Assembly nĩ gũkorwo agĩkindĩra ũndũ ũyũ nĩgetha mũrĩmi wa kahũa makĩria kuma gĩtaro kĩa Mount Kenya akorwo akĩmenya atĩ ndaramunya kahũa rĩngĩ nĩ gũkarĩmĩra arakarimĩra ndĩrona Mount Kenya-inĩ rĩ ũkũria thĩinĩ wa gĩtaro kĩa Mount Kenya nĩ ũhanĩte ta ũcokete na thutha ona thengia gwitũ Mount Kenya gũkorwo twĩna atongoria marĩ gatũ ta mũndũ ũgwĩtwo Kimani Icung'wa mũndũ ũgwĩtwo Ndindi Nyoro Kaba Mĩthũ atongoria aya othe Mount Kenya rĩ kĩgĩtũko tukĩgunĩka nakĩo
reke ngwĩre ũndũ wa mbere nĩgetha Mount Kenya ĩgunĩke na ũthii wa na mbere kĩndũ kĩa mbere tũbatiĩ gwĩka atongoria Mount Kenya nĩ mabatiĩ meherie ũteti ũngĩrora Mount Kenya nĩ gũkungĩtio ũteti mũingĩ mũno
ica ikuhĩ arĩ kũrĩa nĩ kaunti-inĩ ya Kiambu
kũrĩa kaunti-inĩ ya Meru nĩ tũronire magĩtwara nginya gavana
Kawĩra Mwangaza
no nĩ arakĩhonokirio nĩ bunge ya Senate MCA ya Kiambu nĩ meriga kũheana mũkana wa kũgũra
Kimani 21
nĩguo mamũheire thikũ 21 ũguo thĩinĩ wa gĩcigo kĩa Mount Kenya rĩ nĩ tũkungĩtie ũteti mũingĩ mũno na ũcio nĩ ũndũ atongoria mabatiĩ mambe manyitanĩre methere mũingĩ kĩrĩa mamerĩire mwena wa mũcio nĩ twĩrĩga kuona mũtongoria wa bũrũri Uhuru Muigai wa Kenya ndagĩtarĩ William kana macini cia kũiga iria rĩa mũrĩmi nĩgetha rĩtikagĩthũke na aheanire mũico nĩ mũthia wa mwaka ũyũ Dithemba ũguo arĩmi no metereire kuona harĩa tabarĩra ĩgũkinya
na maya nĩ maũndũ mamwe ma marĩa atahotete gũkinyanĩria marĩa makĩrĩ manifesto-inĩ ya thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza
kũrĩ mũikari wa Mount Kenya maina wa mũcio thogora wa macani ũrĩmi wa macani nĩ ũhotomete na njĩra nene rĩrĩ ti rĩrĩa mũrĩmi aiguaga atĩ bonathi nĩ ĩrauma
akarokia kũrũhia
tũrĩho
ndirikanaga guka kũngĩatuĩkire bonathi nĩ ĩroka no nginya ũngĩanyuire mũgate na iria
ĩtiguo thaa ici ciroka cikarĩha mathirĩ cigathira
aukinyereria mamwe mama maundu ta maya thini wa gitoro gia Mount Kenya tari uheani wa iria President Ruto we mwene ni murimi namba imwe ni mathina maria mahutagia murimi wa iria niki agite kumakinyereria ona thengi yake kwirana thini wa manifesto yake akorirwo akibase muno na maundu megie horo wa wendia wa riera ria carbon mabũrũri ma nanja niguo guthaitira maria maturigicĩirie na hari mundu mwe akorirwo akiuga akoragwo ari scientist akiuria atiriri thini yatũraga in existence miaka ya hau gabere before tugite ithu tukite tugita miaka 900 mihituku ungirona hau gabere ni kwari na mundu maingi muno maficaga the earth kuri na volcano cia eraptaga njuru muno kuri na maundu maingi muno elastic ciothe cia hapenaga niki gigutuma twambe turongorie wendia wa rĩera rĩa carbon handu wa twambe tukirie murimi wa iria na thĩinĩ wa Finance Act ni tuongerera
shares no tukirothi wa na mbere Mount Kenya tutire na shares undu wa mbere Maina wa Mucũwe gucokia thutha hanini no atutariria mutongoria wa bururi arari kure mwena wa Nyanza ni turonire akirugoria iganda cia kuiga thamaki urimi wa thamaki kihimbirio kuri iria-ini ria Victoria
ona kure mwena-ini wa Mombatha ni akorirwo kimerera pods cia kureithiria thamaki
o kuu mwena wa Mombatha ni turonire akiruta mbeca cia kurukia blue economy kuria mwena wa Kwale Maina wa Mucũwe tuingira kuria Western ciringi bilioni 7 cia kuriha mathirĩ ma urimi wa igwa ni cirarihirwo tukiuma kuu ri Maina wa Mucũwe ri tuka guku gwitu ri ni kwirirwo ni tugathondeka barabara ya kuma hana ikinya hana ni tukamurehera kurasi cia kuiga iria Maina wa Mucũwe ni tugoka tumuthondekere thogora wa kahua
That is one of the agendas of the Kenya Kwanza administration, and we did see a number of steps being taken both by the executive as well as parliament to ensure that this is achieved, the universal health coverage is achieved in the country. When he also addressed parliament last time, he did talk about the realization of the National Health Insurance Fund, whose restructuring is not only necessary for efficiency but also enables it become a fit-for-purpose social insurance scheme that caters for all, including chronic diseases. An update of that, of course, Kenyans are expecting this afternoon. The president also did address issues to do with digital technologies, which he said have become a the steps which are being taken by the president, of course, through the cabinet secretary for information, communication and the digital highway, digital economy, I beg your pardon, to ensure that the country is connected digitally. The president promised to capitalize on existing technology and innovation in public and private sector to distribute the Hustler Fund as promised in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. And he did call upon financial institutions and Kenya's young generation in innovation hubs to participate in the digital economy by redesigning their products to serve the goal of empowering millions armed with grand ideas of state to announce the steps being taken to ensure that this is achieved. The State of the Nation address will begin anytime now, but the president is within the precincts of Parliament, and he will be making his way into the chambers accompanied by the Speaker of the Senate and the Speaker of the National Assembly. That is Honorable Moses Wetangula and Honorable Amason Kingi, respectively. They will be leading and they will be accompanying the head of state as he makes his way into the chamber to address this joint sitting and, of course, to address the nation at in a year, and it is an address that is being awaited with bated breath. Kenyans want the head of state to update them on what is being done to ensure that issues to do with the cost of living are addressed. There is some activity at the door. The members who are still within the precincts of parliament are making their way into the chambers, and any moment now we do expect the head of state, accompanied by the speakers of parliament, to walk into the chambers to allow this process to take place. Now there will be a prayer by the Speaker of the Senate, and then there will be to make his address. After the head of state will address the House, and after that there will be an adjournment by the Speaker of the Senate and by the Speaker of the National Assembly. It is not the first time that this is happening. Kenyans have witnessed such occasions before, and what perhaps will vary is the content of that address. Every year Kenya experiences unique challenges and unique types of progress, and that is what Kenyans are now waiting for, to hear what the head of state has to say regarding the state of this great nation. When he addressed this sitting in 2022, he committed and said that he was determined to ensure that Kenya's tax system is responsive to the needs of the economy. The head of state said that the tax system must be equitable, efficient, and customer friendly. He did say that the economic principles of equitable taxation require that the tax burden reflects ability to pay. He said that this is best achieved by a hierarchy that taxes wealth, consumption, income, and trade in that order of preference. He said that Kenya's tax regime then fell short of that. The president said that the government then was overtaxing trade and undertaxing wealth. He did promise to propose tax measures that begin to move Kenya in the right direction. What is the status of this? Kenyans are perhaps going to be asking those questions and hoping that they will be answered this afternoon when the head of state makes that address. And he also said in his previous address to Parliament that the government will work with the Kenya Revenue Authority on a culture change to make it a people-friendly, customer-centric organization. He was of the view that it should be renamed to the Kenya Revenue Service in line with the proposed transformation. What is the status of that? Kenyans are waiting for the president to address that, perhaps. There on your screen are a number of members seated, and on your screen there is the corridor that is leading to the National Assembly chamber. On the wall on your right are the portraits of the former Speaker of the National Assembly, who is currently the Attorney General, Honorable Justin Muturi, and the far right is the current Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula. On your screen is the Sergeant at Arms, followed by the maces. That is on the right, the mace of the National Assembly, on the left, the mace of the Senate carried there, and the clerk of the Senate, and followed by the President, accompanied by the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast of this special sitting of Parliament. The bicameral House is sitting this afternoon for the State of the Nation address. My name is Edward Kabasa. Enjoy your viewing.
Hiyo imekuwa ni bendi na Rais William Ruto.
Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity and welfare of our country and of those whose interests we've committed to our charge. Amen. You may be seated. Order, honorable members. Your Excellency, the Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH, President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, the Right Honourable Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honourable Moses Wetangula, AGH MP, Honourable Members of Parliament. Article 132(1) of the Constitution of Kenya requires the President to address the special sitting of Parliament of Kenya once every year and at any other time. Further, Article 132(1)(c) requires the President to, among others, once every year, report in another In addition, Article 240, subsection 7 of the Constitution requires the President, in his capacity as the chairperson of the National Security Council, to report to Parliament annually on the state of the security of the Republic. In this regard, therefore, pursuant to Article 132, 1B and C1 and 2 of the Constitution, the Presidency, via the letter reference number OP/CAP.26/4A, Volume 2/52, informed the Speakers of the Houses of Parliament of the intention of His Excellency the President to deliver his address to Parliament. Consequently, pursuant to Standing Order number 25(1) and 2 of the Senate, I gave notice of November 2023. Accordingly, honorable members, this special sitting is properly convened. I thank you.
Your Excellency, Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH, President of the Republic of Kenya, and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces. The Right Honourable Amason Kingi, EGH MP, Honourable Speaker of the Senate, Honourable Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Article 131B of the Constitution of Kenya requires the President to address the nation once every year. Measures taken and progress achieved in the realization of our national values. Additionally, Article 1321C Roman 3 of the Constitution provides that the President shall submit a report for debate to the National Assembly on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic. In this regard, honorable members, by way of a message to the House dated 26 September 2023, His Excellency the President conveyed his desire to address a joint sitting of the Houses of Parliament today, 9th November 2023. Therefore, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 22 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, and by Gazette Notice number 14715, which was published in the Kenya Gazette, this special sitting is properly convened. Your Excellency, in the custom of Parliament, we recognize invited guests seated in our galleries. I therefore wish to recognize the following guests who are seated in the Speaker's row. Her Excellency Rachel Ruto, EGH, First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, and other members of the First Family. His Excellency Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and the spouse of the Deputy President, Her Excellency Pastor Dorcas Rigathi. The Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, EGH, the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Your Excellency, honorable members, also present in the Speaker's row, Justice Philomena Mbete Mwilu, MGH, Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court. They are accompanied by Honorable Justice Eric Ogola, Principal Judge, the High Court. Honorable Justice Oscar Angote, Presiding Judge, Environmental and Land Court. And Honorable Justice Brian Ongaya, MBS, Principal Judge, Employment and Labor Relations Court. We are similarly pleased to host the former Vice President of the Republic, the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, AGH, who is also the co-chair of the National Dialogue Committee. We are also honored to have in our midst the immediate former speakers of the Houses of Parliament, the Honorable Justin B.N. Muturi, EGH, of Bungoma County. Your Excellency, allow me to also recognize the chairperson of the Council of Governors, who is also the governor of Kirinyaga County, the Honorable Anne Waiguru, EGH, and the Honorable Johnson Sakaja, Governor of Nairobi City County. May I also accord special recognition to all Cabinet Secretaries present, Mr. Felix Kosgei, Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Principal Secretaries, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and heads of constitutional commissions and independent offices present in Parliament today. Your Excellency, I wish to make a special mention of the Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, General Francis Ogola, and the respective service commanders to the nation. To all invited guests, karibuni sana kwa bunge. Honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and privilege to invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces to address this special sitting of Parliament.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, honorable members. I arise before this distinguished assembly of the democratically elected representatives of the people of Kenya to discharge to the people of Kenya the measures taken by their government under my leadership, and to give full expression and effect to the soul of our constitutional dispensation by implementing the national values and principles of governance set out in Article 10 of our Constitution. I have a substantial report to give on the progress made in fulfilling this solemn covenant, and that the journey of transforming Kenya for the benefit of present and future generations is fully underway. Its positive effect have also begun to bear fruit across many sectors of our national endeavor, from the grassroots all the way to this capital of Nairobi. Of our economy, and to stop and reverse the negative trends of runaway unemployment, yawning inequality, and widespread poverty, which have denied Kenyans their dignity and extinguished their dreams. The mass appeal of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda was due in large part to the fact that its development and articulation, as well as its content and implementation strategy, represented our national values in action. It was inclusive, democratic, committed to social justice and the protection of the marginalized. our commitment to bring the national values and principles of governance to life in order to significantly enhance the well-being of every individual endure well beyond our term. It has been my manifest intention to live up to all the commitments set out in the plan, and despite enormous challenges and tremendous difficulties, we have made encouraging progress in a positive direction. This has not only vindicated our philosophy of inclusive transformation in pursuit of shared prosperity, but it has also increased our confidence that we are on the right path and shall, in due course, deliver the transformation of our nation in full. It is important for us to point out that we began the implementation of our mandate to transform Kenya's economy from the bottom up under extreme difficult circumstances. We do it to emphasize the significance of our progress, underscore the possibility of transformation under daunting conditions, and express well-founded confidence that when sufficient progress is made, we shall do much more and go much further in delivering the Kenya we want for our generations and also for posterity. In our plan, we identified three primary challenges: external shocks, fiscal distress, and structural imbalance that heavily strained our economy, causing nationwide difficulty. The COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with global supply chain disruptions and geopolitical conflicts, significantly raised inflation and interest shortages and made Kenya a net importer of food in a volatile international market. It was under conditions of such extreme difficulty that the people of Kenya entrusted us with the responsibility of simultaneously generating effective solutions to immediate problems, providing a credible pathway to stability in the medium term, and undertaking long-term structural transformation of our economy, but in a manner which paid attention to the needs and aspirations of Kenyans, especially those at the bottom of the pyramid. The transformation of our economy is not only desirable and important, it is also necessary and urgent. And the people of Kenya have made this clear. Kenyans want to proceed in a new direction and demand a new conversation that puts ordinary Kenyans, the mama mboga security, well-being, interests, and aspirations at the front and center of all policy and governance discourse. Citizen freedoms and fundamental rights lie at the heart of enterprise and democracy. Accordingly, our governance system must be fit for purpose, able to protect people and their belongings, safeguard freedom, facilitate democracy, and promote market efficiency. To do this, law enforcement must be robust, judicial integrity, efficiency and independence, and other actors in the justice, law, and order chain, including the judiciary, must therefore be professional, independent, impartial, effective, and inspired by national values and principles of governance. In keeping with our promise to the people of Kenya, I signed important instruments on my first day on duty. Among them, the delayed appointments of 6 judges to the Court of Appeal as recommended by the Judicial Service Commission. Enhanced allocation through this House to the judiciary by 3 billion Kenya shillings. Designated the Inspector General, who is sitting in this House as the accounting officer of the National Police Service, to review the terms and conditions of service of members of the National Police Service. This was necessary, members, so that we can cement our place as a nation on the firm foundation of the rule of law. Together with the people of Kenya, we have changed everything. We have transformed the national political conversation from personalities to issues, from regional or ethnic largesse to opportunities for all our young people, from divisions to inclusion, and from status quo to the bottom-up economic transformation for shared prosperity. To date, Kenyans remain fully seized of the agenda, engaging vigorously and price, jobs, and dignified dwellings, universal health coverage for a healthy, productive nation, and digital transformation to create e-commerce, create jobs, and make government efficient, effective, and accessible, especially government services. Also, fintechs, including the Hustler Fund, have benefited from the space around technology and the digital transformation. By virtue of the internal coherence of our constitutional dispensation, national values and principles of governance set out core directive precepts whose observance imbues every The implementation of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is a program to intensify the actualization of national values with a special focus on citizens at the bottom of the pyramid. From the first day in office, we have worked hard every day to move our agenda forward amid many challenges to forge a path in the direction of progress. This is the essence of our commitment, to make progress despite challenges and move forward by overcoming great obstacles. We must never be defined by our problems, and Kenya's destiny cannot be derailed by our challenges. Honorable members, the cost of living is not an abstract measures. One of the most salient interventions in addressing the high cost of living is the strategy to support agricultural production throughout the sector, ranging from food and cash crops as well as livestock value chains. I am committed to put the shame of hunger behind us once and for all. We rolled out a countrywide farmer registration and fertilizer subsidy program that has made available 5.5 million bags to farmers across Kenya. We have progressively reduced the cost of fertilizer from 6,500 to 2,500, increased maize acreage under production by an extra 200,000 acres this year, and enhanced
of these interventions, today, a 2-kilogram packet of maize flour is selling at a low of 145 and a high of 175, depending on the brand you buy, down from 250 shillings a few months ago. The famous Gorogoro of maize is selling at between 60 and 75. Honorable members, you know how much it costed a few months ago. We have also established 22 new fish landing sites in 9 counties in Nyanza and the Coast region. We have funded and organized beach management units into cooperatives, set up 2 hatcheries in Kabono in Kisumu County and in Shimoni and Shimoni Fish Port by the end of next year. Again, to bring our blue economy resources into the realm of food production. To achieve efficiency, transparency, and accuracy in fertilizer distribution, we enrolled farmers on a digital register with accurate details of the location and acreage of their agricultural land holdings. This database enabled us to implement an e-voucher system through which farmers receive their fertilizer consignments for planting and top dressing of maize, tea, coffee, rice, potatoes, cotton, edible oils, sugarcane across the country. Our farmers are the best people to speak about the success of the fertilizer program. NATO, a single mother in a place called Milo in Bungoma, told me that the 2,500 fertilizer had doubled the yield in her farm from 52 bags of maize last year to 120 bags of maize this year. Another farmer, Mr. Albert Muni from Embu, appreciated the impact of fertilizer subsidy had in his farm and asked me to work out a way that the fertilizer can be delivered closer to the farmers rather than at the National Cereals and Produce Board depot. I assured him that I will work with the governor of Embu and with all governors to actualize his proposal for him and for other farmers. Of transformation the fertilizer subsidy has done in his farm. With a phrase that struck my mind, he simply told me, Mr. President, shamba yangu inametameta. Further, we have made adequate arrangements, including investment in necessary infrastructure to facilitate post-harvest management and to prevent post-harvest losses. 17 certified warehouses jointly managed by the National Cereals and Produce Board and the private sector owners with a combined capacity of 365 metric tons or 4,090 kilogram bags have been prepared in the maize growing areas. The National Cereals and Produce Board a bag, which is a significant improvement from the previous rate of Kenya shillings 350 per bag. Yesterday again, the first consignment of the 100 mobile dryers this house facilitated my administration to buy for use by our farmers. I announced to you yesterday the first consignment of the dryers docked in the country. Additionally, we are enhancing dairy productivity for better farmer returns. The government working with milk processors, and I had a long conversation with them in Nakuru, We are mapping the country to ensure coolers are supplied where they are needed. Soon, farmers will be paid based on milk quality. Bearing fruit, with our farmers set to earn 4 times advance pay for their crop, from a low of 20 to now Kenya shillings 80, following the allocation of Kenya shillings 4 billion from the Coffee Cherry Fund that was ably facilitated by this House. Coffee reforms regulations will give farmers the necessary representation and weight at the national coffee auction. It is my intention to make sure that the auction operates with farmers at the center of it. These measures are expected to aid ongoing efforts, including expanding production to new counties and double coffee output in the next 4 years. The government of Kenya is currently restructuring public sugar mills, expediting the The objective includes creating a competitive sector, raising farmer incomes, and enhancing productivity. This House agreed with my cabinet that we waive Kenya shillings 117 billion non-performing debt for government-owned sugar factories, for which I am grateful to this House. This House also approved 1.7 billion shillings that will go into paying farmer arrears and other complications that arose out of the challenges our sugar sector was facing. I want to promise this House that in the next couple of weeks, we shall be dispersing that money so that farmers in the sugar growing area can go home for sector from the financial markets, raising the cost of credit and slowing down trade and commerce. As I told Kenyans on my first day in office, times were difficult and many people are struggling, and necessary and effective sustainable solutions were urgently needed. We must admit, honorable members, that as a country, we had been living large and way beyond our means. The time has come, therefore, to retire the false comforts and illusionary benefits of wasteful expenditure and counterproductive subsidies on consumption, by which we dug ourselves deeper into the hole of avoidable debt. We've had to take hard decisions and make painful choices because we owe it to the people of Kenya to do the right thing and to confront facts as they are without flinching or equivocating. We have worked hard at home and abroad to mobilize a broad coalition of bilateral development partners. Many of them, I see them in this House. Multilateral development banks and other agencies which have rallied to pull our country back from the brink of debt distress and set us today firmly on the path towards sustainable economic growth. Our efforts to stabilize the situation have $300 million or 500 billion Kenya shillings installment of the US dollars 2 billion Eurobond debt that falls due next year. I can now confirm with confidence that we will and we shall pay the debt that has become a source of much concern to citizens, markets, and our partners. Having said this, I further announce to the nation that our intention, consistent with sustained effort here and abroad, have enabled us to normalize our relations with the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Africa Development Bank, and various development partners to such an extent that they are now working had long crowded our productive sector from the financial markets, raising the cost of credit and slowing down trade and commerce, especially the micro, small, and medium enterprises, including Mama Mboga. Consequently, many enterprises and entrepreneurs were referred for blacklisting by the credit reference bureaus, where 7 million borrowers were listed by last year. We committed to provide affordable and accessible credit and restore small business owners to good standing with credit rating agencies. A deliberate, targeted strategic financial inclusion fund, the Hustler Fund, providing affordable credit the fund has exceeded most initial projections and surprised even the most hardened skeptics. By the end of last month, the fund had disbursed Kenya shillings 36.6 billion and in savings 2.3 billion, and with 7.5 million repeat borrowers whose overall repayment rate is at 73%. The top borrower of the fund has so far accessed Kenya shillings 4.5 million in 816 transactions, while the top voluntary saver is at 631,491. And of which 20,000 have received 151 million Kenya shillings. The Hustler Fund has provided us not only the huge pent-up demand for affordable credit, but also the readiness of Kenyans to express or to embrace credit and savings and to pay their loans on time with minimum prompting. The notion that Kenyans are not creditworthy or are high-risk borrowers is nothing more than an unjust financial profiling, which has, in many instances, become a needless, self-fulfilling prophecy. Yesterday, when I called Harrison Karisa Kenga, a way to have the fund provide asset financing so that he can buy for himself a tuk-tuk because the one he had was not his. I assured him that during my address today, I would ask the ministry responsible to respond to him. Consequently, I hereby direct the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs to expeditiously engage Mr. Kenga. I will give you his telephone number. The impact of the Hustler Fund is summarized by a story of a Mr. Sospita Ondiek from Kisii. I suggest that the Kenyan film industry should look for him so that he can tell you his full story. Mr. Ondiek has the many transactions he has undertaken to enhance our savings that have consistently been among the lowest globally, and to correct the delayed transformation of our social security architecture. Fundamental reforms are underway in our savings and social security space. As promised, we committed to take deliberate measures to foster a strong culture of savings amongst Kenyans and enable them mobilize resources for investment and development of intergenerational capital to eliminate old age poverty and to ensure comfort in retirement. Until recently, the rate of Kenya's public pension saving stood at As a result of our initial interventions, the savings situation in Kenya is changing for the better. Contributions, honorable members, to the National Security Fund have grown from 1.4 billion shillings in January to 6.5 billion shillings every month, this month. The implication of this growth in our national savings is that it will significantly consolidate our nation's ability to invest in development using domestic resources as opposed to us going to borrow other people's money when they save. Honorable members, insecure land tenure, and perennial squatter problems. Acute housing challenges are principally an urban phenomenon, and they present a serious threat to health and safety as well as dignity of people, particularly low-income earners. The proliferation of slums in our urban areas indicate the extent of this serious problem and the urgency with which it must be addressed to enable Kenyans have greater choice in leading dignified, safe, and healthy lives affordably. Low supply of affordable housing units in Kenya is acute, making rent a huge component of the cost of living for many households. Also as a means to reduce the cost of living. 3 categories of houses will be supplied by this program: social housing, affordable housing, and for the rest, market rate housing. Interest on financing is where we intend to make the big difference. Interest at the moment, as all of us know in this house, is at almost 18%. But under this program, all interest should be or will be at single digit. For social housing, the interest will be at 3%. You know, honorable members, that we all get 3%. So even the people in the social space, they also deserve to get 3%. The affordable housing program has received tremendous support from county governments across Kenya. And I want to thank governors, and I know the chair of the Council of Governors is here, through her, all governors who have worked with us to make sure that this program becomes a reality. The construction of 46,792 units in various parts of Kenya is already underway, while another 40,000 are ready to commence in a couple of weeks. 50,000 Kenyans are working. People who are previously unemployed They are now engaged directly and indirectly in this enterprise, and the numbers will significantly increase as the projects move into the next phase and as we the pipeline as I talk to you and at various stages of delivery. More jobs are being created with the formalization of the Ruto Kuri clusters, providing products like doors, hinges, and windows. And this morning, as I visited one of the sites that I went to launch the construction in March, I was amazed that a site that was flat in March today, and I was with the Member of Parliament for Ruto, today has 11 block units, almost at 60% complete. And I also met the Ruto Kuri cluster for Ruto, and they have been given a architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, masons, electricians, plumbers, transporters, steel and cement factory workers, and hardware merchants will be partakers in this transformative plan. I spoke to Moses today at the site in Ruto, an electrician, and he told me out of the 1,700 workers in the site today, he was in charge of 114 electricians who are engaged in that site. And he asked me, Mr. President, make sure the next site is ready for us, because we will finish this ahead of time. Environment, complete with water, electricity, and other amenities. And I want to thank members of this House for participating in various ways and working with us and also with the counties in identifying the right locations for these markets. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, our education system must develop a formidable reservoir of skill, talent, highly competitive and innovative human capital to support our vision of an economically transformed Kenya. Within weeks of taking office, I appointed the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform, led by Professor Raphael Munava, my former teacher, who provided clarity from early childhood all the way to the tertiary levels. The Working Party concluded its work and submitted a report whose recommendations are already being implemented. The urgent and vexing question of transition to junior school has been settled, and the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment will be used for the exclusive purpose of monitoring learners' progress and not for placement in any grade. In keeping with our commitment, 56,750 new teachers have been employed. I'm sure the Honorable Milemba can confirm this. While 8,200 primary school teachers were changes to the entry requirements for teacher training colleges, admission has increased by 300% to now 20,456 trainees. I was privileged to be in Kwale last week to open the Kwale Teacher Training College. which had only less than 100 students a few months ago. And when I went there, the principal told me that the numbers have increased 4 times. At the tertiary level, the Working Party recommended an overhaul of the existing education funding framework to a variable scholarship universities and TVETs, but also created many complications in our universities and institutions of higher learning that by last year, our universities had accumulated debts of close to 60 billion Kenya shillings. I sat down with all the vice chancellors of our 41 public universities, and we came up with a proposal that we are now implementing. The new model for financial support is student-centered and deploys a rigorous impartial means testing instrument to establish the level of need of every student, which then becomes the primary consideration in allocating scholarships and loans. To fully democratize our education system and make and parliamentary approvals. I want to thank this House for expediting the Open University Charter that had been in the works for the last 10 years. I also want to announce to you that the first 1,000 students will report next month. In the course of consulting Kenyans from all walks of life during the formulation of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the foundational contribution of health to citizen well-being and the role of costs in driving up poverty were identified as chronic. The implications are very clear, and we cannot afford to delay the delivery of universal health care anymore. Consequently, we have instituted radical reforms in the provision of health care to this House and honorable members for enacting the Primary Health Care Act, the new Social Health Insurance Act, the Digital Health Act, and the Facility Improvement Financing Act. These laws, honorable members, will usher in and guarantee a new era in the provision of healthcare, covering all essential services from preventive, promotive, curative, palliative, and rehabilitative services, guaranteeing every Kenyan access to comprehensive and quality healthcare. Under Afya Nyumbani, we have scaled up our investment in healthcare workforce, employing 20,000 across the country to increase the availability of human capital in our public health sector. Working with county governments, and I'm again grateful to them, we have taken measures to resolve the perennial challenge of human resource management in the health sector, occasioning strikes, by establishing the Kenya Health Human Resource Advisory Council, which will be a trusted mediator between government at both levels and our health sector workers. Further, under the Afya Nyumbani model, we identified preventive care as an essential pillar of healthcare service delivery because it enables Kenyans bottom-up intervention to deliver preventive and promotive health solutions at the grassroots by deploying community health promoters to visit Kenyans at their homes, provide basic diagnosis for common conditions, and refer cases to appropriate medical facilities. Together with all the 47 counties, and again, I'm grateful to the governors, we have deployed 100,000 community health promoters fully equipped with the necessary kits and an electronic community health information system. In the last 1 month, CHPs have attended to 1.2 million households, just in the last 1 month. I spoke on phone to Mr. Masood Dirie, a community health promoter in Garissa, yesterday, who told me and has used it to confirm that 7 people in his locality had high blood pressure. In a twist of fate, he tested himself and discovered that he too had high blood pressure. That's what he told me. And so, apart from referring others, we also had to make way to the hospital. Mr. Obembi Ogutu of Homa Bay told me that the program now makes primary health care a paperless engagement, saying it had started to reduce queues in hospitals. Through the Facility Improvement Financing Act 2023, we have established to improve facilities, capacity, and to provide healthcare services within that locality. In addition, the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, as part of many radical reforms, will now deploy ICT to manage supply chains of essential health products and commodities. As a result of this small intervention, KEMSA has improved its stocking rate from 40% to 60% in the last 5 months. And we are now targeting 80% by March next year. As is becoming clear, we cannot hope anymore to deliver services to Kenyans in their millions across the country with any measure of efficiency, integrity, and financial inclusion. Digital technologies reign supreme in transforming service delivery, governance improvements, and catalyzing efficiency throughout the economy. We have commenced the rollout of 100,000 kilometers of the last mile fiber optic connectivity to make reliable high-speed internet available throughout Kenya, along with 25,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots in all market centers. The rollout, and I was given statistics by the end of this year, the first 2,200 will be rolled out, and another 1,450 ICT hubs in every ward. I want to thank the membership of this House for considering to change enable millions of young people in your constituencies and wards to access internet and technology for digital jobs, e-commerce, and to give them the possibility of working on remote jobs. I have engaged the chair and committee of this House in that space. We have agreed on the model of how the ICT hub will look like, and I am truly grateful that Parliament came through and considered changing the law so that we can work on this together. We have expanded digital provision of public services to encompass 13,000 services to date, and it is my commitment to ensure full digitization by the end of next month. Our decision to enhance efficiency and integrity in the provision of government services has gone a long last week in Athi River. Digitization and automation enhance service delivery and citizen satisfaction, and also assures greater accuracy, transparency and accountability, and reduces opportunity for corruption in the course of transacting with government ministries, departments, and agencies. Corruption, honorable members, wastage, inefficiency, and negligence are serious threats to our transformation agenda and unacceptable practice that has no place in our nation. I have given my firm assurance to the people of Kenya that cases of misconduct and corruption shall be dealt with ruthlessly, with finality, and expeditiously. Tighten our anti-corruption policy framework and eliminate space for those who want to steal our money. The security and safety of all citizens is our foremost commitment and most fundamental obligation, without which every other endeavor is not possible. The reason why Kenya has continued on the path of steady progress is that we have maintained stability, peace, and security by affirming our territorial integrity and maintaining internal tranquility. This is not to say our country has not had its share of security challenges. The specter of terrorism is a continuing threat that we must remain constantly vigilant against. Pockets of additionally parts of eastern and the coast regions. We all know that insecurity disrupts lives and destroys livelihoods. Our country has lost too many people to this menace. Many children have been orphaned and missed school, and many families have been displaced because of lawless men taking up illegal arms and waging war against communities. The government exists to ensure that those who challenge our sovereignty, territorial integrity, national security, and the safety of the people of Kenya are expeditiously countered and rendered harmless. We have therefore taken firm and decisive measures to deal with the challenge of banditry in the North Rift. We have been systematic, focused, thorough, unrelenting, and totally committed to removing for good all threats to lives and livelihoods of Kenyans. I know there are pushbacks from the criminals, but I want to assure the honorable members of this House that we will be unrelenting, and until it is done, it is not done. In discharging this commitment, we have been mindful not to use security imperatives to commit impunity, including misuse of resources and extrajudicial infringement on freedoms and fundamental human rights of citizens. Sorry. Public service for the benefit of law-abiding citizens and as a guarantor of economic growth. Therefore, our security services have been committed to a citizen-centric, rights-focused, inclusive, and community-based security strategy. I am therefore quite clear that there exists no tension between the effective delivery of security services and the upholding of human rights and fundamental freedoms. We can be, and therefore must be, secure, yet free and democratic. In order to entrench our all-of-society coalition, we have resolved to enhance diversity and inclusion by expanding enrollment we are doubling enrollment to 40,000 yearly in the National Youth Service and have made it absolutely mandatory that every village, center, town, and city in Kenya is properly represented in the recruitment. To consolidate this proposition, we have directed that 80% of future recruitment to all security services, from the military, the police, KWS, Kenya Forest Service, and all other security agencies, 80% will come from the well-trained, talented, and committed young men and women who have undergone training at the NYS. As a reliable anchor to our region's security, peace, and stability. We continue to answer our historic, moral, and strategic responsibilities to deploy our resources in solidarity with our region in general and our immediate neighborhood in particular. To prevent the imminent collapse of Goma in eastern DRC, which we have had serious consequences for the wider East African region, we deployed our troops under the East African Community Regional Force. We have continued to anchor the fight against Al-Shabaab in Somalia under the Africa Union Transition Mission in Somalia. The Kenya Defense Forces continues to make Kenya proud, and I salute them. To the adverse and diverse composition of Sudan can secure that country. Given the regional interconnectedness, together with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the US, we have engaged the Jeddah process as IGAD to fashion a framework that will be best placed to successfully deliver peace in Sudan. Honorable members, our economy is firmly interconnected with regional, continental, and global economic systems. Our security and stability is likewise integrated with those of our neighbors. Kenya has a fundamental, essential, legitimate, and clear interest in conducting robust diplomacy in form of through Kenya's leadership in the international arena. This is underscored by the high-level summits Kenya has hosted and participated in. Kenya successfully hosted the inaugural first-ever Africa Climate Summit. We also hosted the 43rd Ordinary Session of the Executive Council, the 5th Mid-Year Coordination Meeting of the Africa Union, and the Regional Economic Communities, and the first ever African edition of the Berlin Climate and Security Conference in Nairobi. All these summits have brought into our country about 30 heads of state and government and over 30,000 delegates from different parts of the world. The government has made deliberate efforts to harness the immense and so that they can fully participate in the affairs of our motherland. I have committed to work collaboratively, consultatively, and collectively with the counties and all Kenyans to uphold our cherished national values as human dignity, equity, social justice, national unity, inclusiveness, integrity, good governance, transparency, and accountability. I encourage all honorable members and indeed all Kenyans to embrace an open mindset in regard to national strategic interests and to leverage on our rich heritage and diversity. One of the greatest strengths of our country is our capacity and chart new paths to deliver us from adversity. There is no doubt that our nation has been confronted with immense pressure emanating from political misunderstandings sometimes and electoral disagreements. And it is because we have a robust democracy, which we are very proud of. Such pressure can disrupt lives and livelihoods and undermine our economy. Thankfully, Kenyans always find the moral strength and political imagination to reach across the political divide and engage in dialogue in the spirit of goodwill, fraternity, and commitment to the national interest and the welfare of the nation. It would be, honorable members, remiss of me whose resolution will accelerate our transformation, deepen our democracy, and enhance national unity. Specifically, I thank the two co-chairs, my good brother, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, our former president, and the leader of majority in the House, Kimani Ichung'wah, for doing a wonderful job. Congratulations, gentlemen. I salute the courage and patriotism of my fellow leaders who have embraced national dialogue and engage and encourage all of us to keep up the noble work of bringing Kenyans together. There is so much to report about the progress we have made in serving the people of Kenya and transforming our economy. To hand to the speakers of the Houses of Parliament the three reports in full as follows: the 10th annual report on measures taken and progress made in the realization of the national values and principles of governance, the 10th annual report on progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya, number 3, the 10th annual report on the state of national security. I will not hesitate to acknowledge with profound humility that a lot of the successes we have achieved in delivering the bottom-up economic transformation agenda was due to the patriotic support and solidarity from members of this House, both in the Senate and the National Assembly. Era when dialogue, consensus, collaboration, and partnership have replaced dissent, contention, conflict, and disarray as the operating principles of political discourse. Issue-oriented politics, honorable members, is not just a democratic necessity and a pathway to sustainable transformation. It is the most effective way of mobilizing diversity for collective national good. As the world reels from the destructive assaults on democracy and the relentless subversion of human dignity, freedom, reigns supreme in our land, and our democracy grows deeper and more robust by the day. Our collective resolve in a unique quality confers on us an incomparable advantage: the power to face the future without fear, to imagine a transformation that extends to posterity and envisions prosperity that benefits our children's offsprings and beyond. As long as we put the welfare of the people of Kenya as our central agenda and play our respective roles in ensuring that government is effective and accountable, efficient and transparent, Kenya's best fortunes are well within our reach. I am persuaded, honorable members, beyond any reasonable doubt, that we shall achieve transformation beyond our wildest dreams within this generation. In our nation, Kenya is a nation of brave, hardworking, enterprising people who are determined to prevail in the struggle for economic freedom and win the race for prosperity. In a nation like ours, great deeds will be accomplished whenever and wherever opportunity exists. This is why the hard work we have done is already showing the promise of abundant fruit. We have laid a firm foundation for rapid development, and Kenya is no longer on the marks. The state of our nation at this moment in time is prepared, all set, and ready to go. I thank you, God bless you, and God bless you. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, please be upstanding. Your Excellency the President, the Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, honorable members, we have come to the 14th of November 2023 at 2:30 p.m. in the Senate chamber. I thank you.
Honorable members remain upstanding. Honorable members of the National Assembly, the National Assembly now stands adjourned until Tuesday, 14th November 2023 at 2:30 p.m. May I also take this opportunity, Excellency the President, to invite all honorable members and our guests to a reception at the Parliament courtyard. May I also request all of you honorable members and our guests to remain standing in your places until the procession of His Excellency the President and the speakers leave the chamber. I thank you.
You have been watching a special coverage of the proceedings of Parliament of Kenya, a joint sitting of the National Assembly and the Senate, where the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has issued the State of the Nation address. This live broadcast has been brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Edward Kabasa. Good evening.